Quelaag is a spectacular boss fight. Spectacular. Cinema. Okay. The reveal, amazing. Amazing reveal. You're like, oh, I have to fight this big like monster spider. And then it slowly pans up to like hot lady. Awesome. So I've been playing Dark Souls for way too long. My first playthrough was in 2011, the week the game was released. And for the past 8 years, I've been streaming speedruns and challenge runs of the game. With all that experience, I thought it'd be interesting to offer some of my opinions on the game itself. So today I'm going to be ranking every Dark Souls 1 boss, but not just on how they feel the first time you fight them, but how they hold up after dozens, hundreds, sometimes thousands of attempts. We're looking at 3 things: first time experience, repeat playthroughs, and how interesting or annoying they are in challenge runs and speedruns. Because trust me, when you fought a boss 1,000 times, your opinion changes a lot. This is a new format of video for me, so make sure you let me know in the comments if you want to see more of these. And also make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more of my content. And without further ado, let's get to the rankings. Okay, Asylum Demon. I actually think Asylum Demon is great. Great boss. Much better than Vanguard. A much better executed version of Vanguard from Demon Souls. There's like this initial encounter that you have with the boss where you don't necessarily know what to do. You're underpowered. You're attacking him and you do no damage, and you're like, oh, I guess this is just how Dark Souls is. But you use a little bit of your like reasoning skills and look around the room and you find the escape. I think that's really cool. You find the little gate that you can run through. So first playthrough experience, Asylum Demon's high tier as a tutorial boss. Is anything super hard, but he gives you a little bit of a puzzle to solve and a revenge encounter when you actually have your gear. Now for subsequent playthroughs, I mean, he's easy. You just kind of like get through him and it's fine. He's not super annoying. He's not gonna fuck up your run. So overall, I think this is like a great fight. Where would I put it? I think I'm gonna put this in B because it's not like anything crazy amazing, but I think it's just a well-designed like tutorial boss. Easy B tier, I would say. I think Taurus is interesting. You get the whole like experience of going towards, you go through the fog wall, you go down the bridge, there's nothing there, and then all of a sudden he jumps down, scares you, and then oh, all of a sudden you have to fight this guy. For like subsequent playthroughs, he's just kind of like easy. For speedruns, he isn't that bad either. Although I will say, like, with the discovery of the more consistent Taurus suicide method, this guy has become a lot more annoying. So I don't think he's like amazing. And the speedrun quality of life on him definitely drags him down a bit. I think I'm gonna put him at like C. All right, I think Gargoyle's first playthrough is like immaculate fight. My first playthrough of this game, the Bell Gargoyles, so out of all the bosses in all the Souls games, these motherfuckers took me the longest to beat out of all of them. It took me like 3 weeks to beat this fucking boss. But they taught me how to play the game. They did teach me a lot about how to play the game. A lot of good lessons that this boss teaches you. And it is like also has a good gotcha moment as well, where it's like, oh, there's a second one that comes down in the middle of the fight, which I think is cool. And he's not like super annoying because he's like only at half health. I will say, like, in like subsequent runs, especially if you're like doing like a challenge run, these guys can get annoying sometimes. Like having to have 2 of them on you at the same time can be pretty annoying. So that it really kind of depends, but I would say even at their most annoying, like they're not the worst. And I think they are really strong first playthrough experience. And you know, they have some fun gameplay to them as well. It's not like they're like not a fun boss. Okay, I'm gonna put them at a B above Asylum Demon. Butterfly, pretty annoying fight. I don't think this is the greatest, like even like first playthrough mechanic, especially because this boss is like, depending on when you get there, can be either really annoying or really easy. I will say on like subsequent playthroughs, this is just like easy boss to take down, especially if you know about the strat where if you damage it a little bit, it flies down faster. The strongest quality of this boss is in speedruns, because there's this boss forces you to like figure out a way to deal with it, because you want to, you know, take it out as fast as possible, but it's flying in the air, and any way to circumvent that is a good thing. So you either want to come here with like magic, or there are alternative strats that allow you to hit it with melee before it lands. which actually adds to it quite a bit. This probably bumps it up to higher D or lower C. It's kind of in this area. I think I'm gonna leave it at high D for now, and we'll reassess maybe later. Capra is a legendary asshole. A legendary asshole. Holy shit, this guy is the fucking boss. There's like so many posts on the internet about how big of a dick this dude is. It's great, which gives him like crazy high aura. The actual fight is kind of ass. I think the biggest problem with this guy in his arena is that the camera is super fucking shitty. And also the run up to him is super annoying. I will give him a little bit of credit, just being such a fucking bastard that like most of the internet just hates this dude. And like speedrunning wise, he's really not that bad. Otherwise, he's just super annoying, like first playthrough. Super annoying for subsequent playthroughs. And then for speedruns, there's like a little bit of like tech involved. I think he's gonna get put into D, though probably above Butterfly. I think I'll put him below Butterfly, actually. Gaping Dragon. Gaping Dragon. The old Gaping D. I think there's some interesting things going on with him, especially with the channeler active. The idea of the channeler, if you don't kill this enemy that's outside of the arena, the boss fight becomes harder. It's honestly just an annoying thing when you're trying to go fast, but like, I think that's an interesting design that they put in there. Visually, he's very cool. Like the cutscene that happens when you first see him is like, whoa. But like the actual gameplay of the boss is a little boring. The actual like gameplay to him is you just kind of wait for him to slam, and then you hit him in the fucking head, and then he runs past you, and then you hit him in the back, and then you just repeat that. I definitely think that this is a boss that goes down in quality on subsequent playthroughs, but it's not like he drops off of a complete cliff though, but he definitely drops off a bit. I'm gonna put him in like I don't know. Maybe I can put him above Taurus just because he's a little more interesting than Taurus. But like, he is kind of like, I think Taurus is more interesting of a fight in like subsequent playthroughs than Gaping. But I think off of like first playthrough vibes alone, I do think Gaping gets a little bit more than Taurus. I think we're gonna go probably to Quelaag here. I mean, we could say Sif, but I think like usually Sif is kind of gated by Hydra and the crest door, so people aren't necessarily going to him. But I think it makes sense to do Quelaag now. Quelaag is a spectacular boss fight. Spectacular. Fucking cinema. Okay? The reveal, amazing. Amazing reveal. You see the spider, you're like, oh shit, I have to fight this big like monster spider. And then it slowly pans up to like hot lady. Awesome. Casually speaking, it's great. And then in subsequent playthroughs, this is like an engaging fight without being super annoying at all, with some additional like strats that you can use by staggering the woman part, hitting her in the lady, as I say, to deal extra damage. And for staggers, there's a lot of cool strats on Quelaag, and it's not like an overly annoying fight in any way. Same for speedruns. There's a lot of different variety to the Quelaag fights you'll encounter in speedruns, where you might fight her with a BKH, you're going for staggers, or you're fighting her with like a move swap weapon and you'll go for staggers on her butt, but you know, it's a little bit different of a vibe going on, but she's never really that bad. And that is like maybe the only thing about Quelaag I would say is like bad, is that she's a little tanky. She's a tank. She's got a lot of HP. So I think there's definitely some negatives to Quelaag, but overall, like one of the best bosses in the game. I'm gonna give her A at the least. Ceaseless, I don't like this boss. Gameplay wise, I think it's a cool boss, like in terms of its like look. Like maybe the first time you encounter the cheese, you're like, oh, that's really cool, and it does look cool because it's like this big hulking like monster. It's very intimidating. But the actual gameplay of the fight's kind of shitty because you're either doing the cheese, which is just gets old, or you're fighting him straight up, and that also gets old. And his fighting him straight up, you also have to deal with like some of the worst hitboxes in the game. The hitboxes on some of his attacks are super dumb. Shitty fight, one of the best, coolest designs. I think that's a fair assessment, and I kind of agree. Like I put him above Capra. I'll put him above Capra, below Butterfly. He does have a good name. Yeah, I'll give him that. Sif. I don't like this boss probably more than most people because I'm very much colored by speedrunning. But let's like go off like first playthrough vibes. Some weapons are pretty annoying to fight him, but that's kind of just a problem with like four-legged bosses in Souls games. I think the limping aspect is pretty like cool that they added that just to make you like intentionally make you feel bad for fighting him. I think that's cool. And he's not exactly like a bad fight. He's just annoying in speedruns, man. This is one of the most random bosses in speedruns. I think I can give him a little bit more credit, and I think I'm gonna put him as a low B. I think if it wasn't for the speedrunning aspect, he'd probably be an A for me. Low A, high P. I think that's understandable, and I don't blame you for that. But like for me, this guy barely gets C. Barely gets into B. I think it's just purely because he does. It's not a bad fight. It's just like he's really atrocious for speedruns. Stray Demon. I don't think Stray Demon's that cool. The one cool thing about Stray is that you get to see him like early on. You get like a sneak peek of him. The actual like fight with Stray is lame, because he doesn't have a wide range of moves. He has a ton of HP. So the fight ends up being a little drawn out. Like he has almost as much HP as Calamite. Now he doesn't have as much like resistance as this Calamite. Like you can bleed this dude like a pig. But the only real like positive thing going for Stray is like the experience of finding him and seeing him before you get to him and all that stuff. And for speedruns, this guy's RNG mess. RNG mess. I think this is probably like a D, like maybe like, I guess I'll put him a little bit above Butterfly because he is like a little more enjoyable of a fight than Butterfly. Yeah, I think this is fair. I think Iron Golem's pretty cool. Iron Golem is a cool, almost like a gimmick fight. You've got this like giant outside of the arena that makes it more difficult if you choose to not kill him. He's got a bit of a like variety of a move set. I will say his grab is insanely bad. I do not like his grab. Although his grab does give you pretty funny memes with the grab cancel that you can do. But I think he's like not that bad of a fight. I think the extra gimmick that they added to him where you can knock him off is so cool. I think this is an okay fight. And for speedruns, like the little mini game of trying to get a stagger on him is pretty nice. And this is really one of the most consistent boss fights in speedruns because you can manipulate him a lot. It might not be the easiest fight depending on the strategy that you're using, but he's pretty damn consistent most of the time. So I actually think Golem's like high tier. Not a bad, like the real like negative thing about Golem is the grab hitbox is way too large. A lot of good stuff going for him though. So we can go straight into ONS. I think this boss sucks. And some people have a really high opinion of it that I will not agree with. This boss is cool for a first playthrough because it's like a spectacle fight. You come into it and then you just have like two fucking dudes fighting you at the same time. And it's like the hardest thing that you've encountered thus far in the game. And it's like, how the fuck do I do this? And it puts pressure on you in your first playthrough to really get good. It's a huge gatekeeper for the rest of the game. And the satisfaction of getting past them is high, for sure. That's first playthrough. But I think that subsequent runs and speed runs, this boss is way fucking worse than Gargoyles. This boss is very annoying, has a lot of jank going on. I don't think they work that well together. I do think it's cool that like there's like some variety depending on which one that you kill. I think that's a good thing. But they're just so fucking annoying and glitchy and janky that I can't really condone the fight on like subsequent runs. And in speed runs, they're just RNG mess. I don't think this boss is as good as a lot of people give it credit for. But on I think the first playthrough vibes are really strong. I'll give it that. I think I'm gonna put it above Gaping, below Sif. In C. There's just a lot of like negatives to this fight that I can't really condone. It's Priscilla. Interesting gimmick, the boss. Going invisible, having to find her with the snow footprints. Some of the arena doesn't have snow on it, so you can't necessarily find her all the time. There's extra tricks you can do where hitting her with a dagger to see it, or using like the glitchy lock-on strats to find her. The option to choose not to fight her is kind of cool. Yeah, that is cool as well. I agree. I will say she's a bit simplistic once you make her visible. And the invisibility is like, so like first playthrough, you know, I think this is a cool experience trying to figure it out. And she's not too hard depending on when you go there. One of the things that is annoying about her is if you go into the painting like a little unprepared, you're kind of stuck there. This boss can be an absolute nightmare if you just don't have good damage. But most people, I think, have good enough damage when they come here. And it's just kind of like a nice, neat little gimmick fight for you to figure out. Puzzle boss. But subsequent playthroughs, like, this boss is either a nightmare or super easy and just kind of annoying that it turns invisible. There are tricks, though, to make the invisibility not that bad. That being said, I think she's better than Ceaseless. Now, is she better than Butterfly? I think she's about this range. The tail cut on her is annoying. She doesn't get points for her tail cut because it's fucking lame. I think I'd put them just above. Put her... These three bosses, I feel, are pretty close. In fact, these are kind of making me reconsider D. Maybe I want to put Ceaseless and Capra in F. Or I could move Capra down to F. Ceaseless could just be a low D. I don't know. I think there's some positive things about Capra. Gwendolyn. I hate this boss. I think Gwendolyn's a cool design and, like, you know, a bit of an interesting gimmick going on, but the gameplay's fucking lame. And in speedruns, this boss is super bad. I think this is an understandable place to put Gwendolyn. I think Seath is okay. The first fight with Seath, I don't know. I guess I can consider that as well. I mean, I think that's interesting, like gameplay design. I think that the first encounter with Seath is interesting, and it's not something that really affects your subsequent playthroughs if you learn how to Duke Skip. So we won't take that against it. And then the actual fight, there's an even extra gimmick where you have to break the crystal, and I think that's cool as well. But all in all, like, it's got some cool like elements to Seath. So then second playthrough to speedruns, he's just kind of boring. He doesn't do a whole lot. He's really easy to manipulate. Really the hardest part about Seath in subsequent playthroughs is the clams, not getting clams. I think that he's okay. I don't think he's really, really bad, but he's a little underwhelming in like subsequent playthroughs. I think with that consideration, just him being a little boring, it's almost kind of like Gaping in a sense, but he's not as annoying as Gaping. So I'm gonna put him in B, low B. All right, Demon Fire Sage. This boss fucking sucks. I don't know about F, but I don't like this boss at all. He's just like Stray, but like the most annoying arena. Like, holy fuck. I hate this fucking boss. In speedruns on Prepare to Die edition, this fucker is S. If you're speedrunning Prepare to Die edition, this is literally S tier because he doesn't do anything and he just lets you do an awesome skip. But every other consideration, this dude's like a fucking F. So I'm gonna round up and we'll put him at bottom of D. He escapes F for me simply because of Prepare to Die edition. If it wasn't for that, this motherfucker would be in the dumpster. Speaking of F tier, we have Centipede Demon. God damn, I hate this boss. The only positive thing about this boss is that he doesn't have a lot of HP. I think the arena could be better if he wasn't so annoying about it. If you go to the middle platform, you have to take like some damage, which is annoying, but you engage him in the middle of the arena and the middle is okay, but he jumps backwards into the lava. That's really annoying. If you don't go to the middle, he just spams his fucking arm attack at you for like forever before he actually decides to engage you. He doesn't have a very complex moveset either. And the camera is fucking awful. The camera for this fight is genuinely ass. This is gonna be my first F. There's no strong positives and a lot of negatives. That doesn't allow him to escape from F. And Beta Chaos, you might think that Beta Chaos is gonna be an F, but Beta Chaos is gonna get a little bit better than an F. Beta Chaos is basically saved by one person. A person named Toki Join has literally saved this boss from being the worst boss of all time. Because first playthrough, this is like genuinely ass. But subsequent playthroughs, man, you just throw 2 firebombs and you're done. That doesn't make it great though. That doesn't make it great. That makes the strat great. But the fight itself is still lame. It's just not as egregiously bad. If we were going off first playthrough, like this is F tier. But the subsequent playthroughs is like D-ish, high D, because you at least get to execute like a cool little strat. Being kind of like a design flaw actually makes it like way better. I'd probably put it about here. Bed of Chaos over ONS. Pinwheel, poor Pinwheel. Pinwheel is really just put in a bad spot. For first playthrough considerations, they have like placed him so poorly that like by the time anyone bothers to fucking go through catacombs, they're like godlike and just massacre this dude. But I think it's actually like kind of an interesting fight with the clones going on and stuff. And if you fight Pinwheel earlier on, he's like way fucking harder, way more dangerous. But I think he's definitely brought down by his placement. I'm gonna put him high D, because I actually think he's not that bad of a boss. He's just really poorly placed. You're noticing a trend. Look at all the Ds. This may be my favorite Souls game, but the bosses suck. The bosses in this game are not that good. Nito! God, I hate this fucking boss. I think this boss's design is really cool, but I fucking hate this boss. Like in every consideration, he's just annoying and kind of boring. The strats that you need to like use to make him better are like lame. And speedrunning wise, he's legitimately one of the worst bosses in the game. Like the speedrun strats on him are just impeccably bad. And you're just like, well, I guess we're gonna die. Hope we don't die to Nito. I still don't think he's that great for first playthrough though. I don't think he's that great. And subsequent playthroughs, he's either a nightmare or just kind of boring. Like, I think I'm gonna put him pretty low. I'm gonna put him like, he is a cool design, but like I think the fight is just ass, dude. Okay, here is a hot take. Four Kings, boom, S. Fucking amazing fight. First playthrough vibes through the fucking roof. You fight them in a black area, complete blackness. Super good vibes. Good music too. What's annoying about them on like a casual run is you can get swarmed, and the DPS check that the boss puts in front of you can be annoying as well. I will say though, on subsequent playthroughs, this boss is so fucking fun to fight as well. Like I think the first playthrough experience is really good as long as you like, you know, get the DPS to get through the fight. No, that's real. This is the best boss, or this is maybe the second best boss in the game. Speedrunning this boss is awesome as well, because this boss adds like a whole other like gameplay mechanic for speedruns, where you are trying to solve this puzzle of damage to do as much damage as you possibly can for each boss, for each king, in order to reduce the amount of kings that you can get. It's mechanically very engaging, yes. And the actual like process of fighting them is top tier. It's just a very, very cool fight for me personally. Sanctuary Guardian. This boss sucks. Like, is there anything good about this boss? There's a tail cut. Back to the D tier. Honestly, this might get F. This might be an F tier. Except the water adds a little bit of an annoying factor. He's got a pretty fair, diverse moveset with a good arena. It's mostly because he jumps around a lot. He likes to spam lightning at you. He runs away. He's an RNG nightmare. Yeah, super trolly in speedruns. I mean, even in like subsequent runs, he's like that. He's a super troll boss. I guess he's not that bad to put him in F. He's probably a D. And he goes down a lot because of how bad he is in speedruns. Don't think he's too bad on casual playthroughs. I don't think he's amazing either, though. I think I'm gonna put him in D. Like, I could see him above Pinwheel. Like high D? Like he's kind of like a C here. He's kind of like here, but then you take a speedrun consideration and he's like here. Artorias. This is a boss that is heavily brought down by the last two factors, which is subsequent playthroughs and speedruns. I was saying the first encounter, he is like S tier. First playthrough, first encounter, first clear, Artorias is an S. Subsequent playthroughs, he's like a fucking like C. Like not very enjoyable. I do not like Artorias in runs because he has far too few opportunities to deal damage to him, especially paired with the extremely high like HP and resistance that DLC bosses have. So if you're using a fast weapon against him, it just takes forever because your damage isn't great and you'll never stagger him. If you're using a slower weapon on him, you're going to have very few opportunities to even deal damage to him because he has really small openings, very small openings. And if you're using Red Tearstone Ring on him, you have even less safe openings. So you're just kind of sitting back and waiting for him to give you big openings. So it becomes a very passive fight. Now in speedruns, he's also kind of a snooze fest because he just gets destroyed. He gets massacred. Or even in non-speedruns, like you just throw on a bunch of like armor and an Elizabeth's mushroom and you just like mash R1 and he dies. I'm gonna put him at a high C because I think subsequent playthroughs for me sucks for this guy. He's very boring. Black Dragon Cow Meat F. Fuck this boss. This boss sucks ass. No positives. Well, okay, the only positive about this boss is the Gothless Calamite strat, but even that's like annoying. He looks cool. He looks all right, I guess. It's cool to see him like appear earlier, getting glimpses of him and getting shot down by Goth. That whole stuff is cool. I just think that he's a crazy boss. He has so many annoying things that he can do. He's gigantic in this arena where like one way the arena is large and then in another direction the arena is very small and he does not give you enough space. Depending on where you're positioned, his attacks can be insanely bad. He acts crazy. He has a ton of HP. He's not even necessarily the easiest to hit depending on what weapon you have. He's very, very annoying and can be he can be actually like totally fine with certain RNG. So he's very RNG heavy as well. I personally just cannot stand him. Worst boss. All right, Manus. Best boss in the game. Best boss in the game. Most fun boss by far. Has so many cool strats that you can do on him. The most skill expression. The only like real negative I would say for Manus for me is that he does have some RNG for speedrunning. But like I also said, there's a ton of skill expression that you can use to minimize time losses on Manus in speedrunning. He is not like annoying to fight really at all once you learn his moveset. Everything just kind of works. I could fight this guy all day. When I would practice Manus, I would just like end up practicing him for like hours. This is definitely the best boss in the game, in my opinion. Fucking amazing. Okay, Gwyn. I'm leaning towards this. He sucks, dude. He's not a good boss. Okay, good vibes. Good vibes. The music's great, but like, that's it. That's really all you give him. He's either far too easy because you use a strategy to cheese him to make him basically irrelevant, or you fight him straight up and he's psychotic, crazy, awful. If you do anything other than just fighting him, like cheesing him, he's like horrible. I don't think this boss is that good because like I said, he's either like the worst boss because he's just like psychotic and there's not really any great strats you can do other than just overpowering him and cheesing him, parrying him to death, making him jump around in an AI loop, or stun locking him. Anything other than that, where you're like, all right, Gwyn's coming at you and he's attacking and you roll and you go, bah! That fucking kind of fight on Gwyn, dude, it's the worst thing. It's the worst thing ever. And then all the other ways to fight him is just you make him completely irrelevant. Does have good vibes, I guess. I'm gonna put him like maybe a little bit higher because at least he's not annoying on subsequent playthroughs. He's just not a good boss. I will say that it's cool that you can cheese him to make him irrelevant. I will say that's a good thing. So that actually makes him go a little bit higher for me in that consideration. Kind of the same way that Bed of Chaos is better because you can just make Bed of Chaos whatever. I will say the first playthrough experience for Gwyn is better as well. So I'll move Gwyn up a bit. Okay, let's do a double check. S tier, Manus, 4 Kings. A tier, Quelaag Golem. B, Gargoyles, Asylum Demon Sif. C, Seath, Artorias, ONS, Gaping, Taurus. D, all these fuckers. I'm not even gonna say their names. It's too many of them. F Calamite Centipede Demon. So there you have it, a speedrunner's ranking of all the bosses in Dark Souls 1. Make sure you sound off in the comments to let me know what I got right and what I got wrong. I'd love to hear what you think. But until next time, thanks for watching.